What's going on, my Jets family? I want to thank you guys, like always, for tuning in to the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. And man, Michael, you summed it up perfectly, brother. What a weekend. What a freaking weekend. Joe Douglas killed it. Joe Douglas solidified himself. In fact, pretty much after, like before the Brees Hall pick, even just after the first round, I'm like, is this the two most consecutive back-to-back greatest drafts by any GM in NFL history? And granted, yeah, they still have to pan out. Obviously, they still have to pan out. They still have to, perform and show who they are. But on paper, man, I'm still like working on it. Like we had an unbelievable draft. Like Michael said, what a weekend. Like Jeff says, now I know what it feels like to have a real front office. And man, I've been saying it for a while. You know that. I've been saying for a long time that Joe Douglas is a great GM. I've gone back as far as back in 2020. I thought, that draft class again hasn't panned out, but I liked the picks he made. And considering how bad we've been for years before with GMs, picking bad guys and guys they shouldn't be taking, I loved it, man. And then we went from all the trades he's made, everything. I've been saying for a long while, and you guys know it, that I felt like Joe Douglas was a great GM and that this man was just going to prove that. And what did he do last year? He had an unbelievable draft last year. And somehow, granted, he took Zach Wilson last year, so that's going to be tough to, upsert. But he might have updid himself this year. He might have undid himself because it was an unbelievable draft. Joe Douglas had an unbelievable draft. Killed it. Just absolutely killed it. And we're going to go over all the picks. And I can't wait to talk to you guys about them. I have stats. I have figures on every single one of the guys. Can't wait to bring them to you. But man, it can't be emphasized enough. Any place you should be looking, the headline should be Joe Douglas killed this NFL draft. And he absolutely did it by trading up to get more top quality guys. I mean, this man walks away in the first round with 3 top 10 players. That's how you need to look at this. He ended the first round with 2 players that were considered top 5 talents and overall 3 players that were all in the top 10. I can't wait to get into it, man. I can't wait to get into it with you guys. So again, I appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you guys tuning in to the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. If you haven't, if you can please subscribe to the channel, you can do so by clicking on the logo in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen right over here. That'd be very, very appreciated if you could. But let's hop into this because, man, this again was an unbelievable draft. Joe Douglas absolutely killed it. I couldn't take it. Like, man, after trading up for Jermaine, my heart couldn't take it, man. It's like, it was just unbelievable. So let's go through this for a second. So we know the Jets have the 4th and the 10th overall picks in the draft. And what does Joe do it for? Joe takes cornerback Sauce Gardner. Now, I wanted to give it an A grade. I did, because Sauce Gardner is an unbelievable talent, but you guys know I felt that corner wasn't a major need for us. But as you guys remember, I'd said, even with corner not being a huge need of ours, if we're going to go with a corner, it's going to be the sauce. It's going to be the sauce, man. Like it had to be the sauce. I've been saying it here for a while. Other people have been saying it. Like if we were going to go with a corner, it had to be the sauce. It just did. So I wanted to give it an A grade because, again, I felt like we didn't need a corner. I felt our cornerback room was slept on. Our cornerback room was already good. Well, that being the case, man, let's look at our corner room now. You got the sauce on one side, that lockdown CB1, and we're going to talk about him more. We got Bryce Hall, who I've said is very slept on, right? A very, very slept on corner on the outside. You got DJ Reed, who we've talked about as one of the few bright spots in Seattle secondary last year. You got 2 rookies that were looking great last year, or looking good, in their rookie seasons, with Brandon Echols and Micah Carter II. You got Javelin Guidry as reserve. Man, I'd said it before, and I'd said it for a while, that I felt that the Jets CB room was slept on. It was a bit of a slept on room, right? That being the case, now It's one of the best in the NFL. My apologies, guys. I forgot to plug my computer in. I just realized that. I'm going to do that right now so we don't die. Otherwise, the computer is going to die and we won't be able to keep talking to you lovely people out there. But again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys being on the podcast, being part of it, tuning in and listening. Man, just unbelievable. So again, we look at this CB room. Man, it was already looking good with Bryce Hall and DJ Reed on the outside, with Brandon Eccles and Michael Carter II on the inside. Now you added the sauce. So again, the Jets CB room I thought was slept on in a pretty good room. It just became elite. The Jets CB room just became an absolutely elite room. And it makes sense when you look at the numbers. So you got to be able to compete within your division, right? The Jets we've been the bottom barrel of our division now for a few years. We got to work our way up. Now, how are we going to do that? Look at the wide receivers in this league. The Bills have Stephon Diggs. The Dolphins now have Tyreek Hill, and the Patriots have Devontae Parker. Now, those are three high-level talented guys. Joe Douglas decided to answer that, and he decided to answer the call of the high-level talent that you see in the wide receiver room in our division by drafting Sauce Gardner, the best corner in the draft. Now, again, will his coverage of those guys work out? It remains to be seen. He's a rookie, and of course, not many can cover Tyreek Hill alone, keep up with him. I get that. Not many can cover that kid, let alone keep up with his speed. But drafting Sauce is a statement. Joe Douglas made a statement, and that statement was, we need a top corner that can cover these top wide receivers, right? We know the name of the game is the passing game now, right? The name of the game is having excellent wide receivers, excellent weapons all over your offense, right? Like Jeff says right here, perfect. Like Jeff says, receiver-focused league means we need the sauce. It's exactly it. Exactly it, man. I'm with you, James. I'm with you, bro. Extend JD another 20 years. Man, this draft, we're going to talk about all the picks. But again, just coming back to it, man, this was unbelievable. This was an unbelievable draft. You could ask my fiance. I was freaking hyped the whole time. I couldn't calm down. You guys remember, I didn't really want to go CB high, but I was like, if we are, it should be the sauce. And I'm going to give you guys some figures, which you probably already know, but to show why Sauce was an absolutely amazing, amazing pick. And we're going to talk about the other guys as well. But man, overall, Joe Douglas killed this draft. And Joe Douglas made it that our team is now ready to compete within two drafts of 2021 and 2022. Joe Douglas has now made it that we are ready to compete, man. Look at these rooms that we put together. Our wide receiver room right now, our CB room right now, brought some edges in. Man, I can't wait to get into it. Can't wait to get into it. But like Jeff pointed out, and you guys pointed out, it's receiver-focused league means we need the sauce. And again, I was going to give it an A just because, again, I felt, we didn't really need a corner. But at that pick, again, Sauce was a top 5 guy. Sauce Gardner was a top 5 player in this draft, arguably top 3. Everyone said if he makes it, his floor was the Giants basically at 5. There was no way he was making it past that. At 4, unbelievable pick. You bring in a guy of unbelievable talent and one of arguably the best player in this NFL draft, and without a doubt, the best corner in this NFL draft. So we talked about the receivers, right? The Bills got Diggs, Hill, Parker, all these talented guys. Joe made a statement. Joe says, I need a top corner. I need a top lockdown, shutdown corner that can cover the best wide receivers in the league. And Sauce Gardner is without a doubt that. PFF Mike Rayner's literal quote is, this guy will end your route at the line of scrimmage. And that is exactly it. He's physical at the point of attack. He's physical and press is great. But more importantly, he's excellent in man coverage. Now, here's an interesting stat maybe you didn't know. Sauce Gardner ran a ridiculous, and when I say ridiculous, I mean almost 500 of his 1,000 snaps. Sauce ran a ridiculous amount of cover one in college, much more than Derek Stingley. In fact, like almost like 150 more snaps than Derek Stingley. We all know what cover one is. What does that tell you? Sauce Gardner is a big physical cornerback that can cover anybody. He didn't need help over the top. He didn't need that safety help. That was not something that was necessary because, again, he ran a ridiculous amount. Again, almost out of his over 1,000 snaps, pretty much 500 of them were cover one. This is a guy, you put him on an island. Maybe, remember they asked Sauce about it. We're going to have a Sauce Island. Maybe that'll be the case. You put this guy on an island and he covers everybody. He can stay on anyone. Again, he's got great length, great hands, great ball ability, great jumps, but he also has good speed. He's a big physical corner that can press you and stay with you and also has the speed to keep up. So, man, like I said, see your guys' comments. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all your comments out there. Appreciate all you guys. But no, I mean, you look at this again. I didn't feel like CB was a big need, but you remember I said it on Twitter. I said it here. If we're going to go with a corner, it's got to be the Sauce. If it's the Sauce, I'm happy. I didn't feel like CB was a need. Again, I felt like our room was slept on, but now you add in the Sauce, that is an elite room. An absolutely elite room. And now you got guys like starting week one, Sauce, Bryce Hall, and DJ Reed are all outside coverage guys, physical guys. Yeah, I guarantee that Sauce is eventually going to win out and be the predominant CB1. But like Joe always says, nothing is given, nothing is given on this team, offense and defense. Everything is earned. So these three guys, at least in the beginning of the season, are going to be interchangeable along the outside. And then you got guys like Brandon Echols, who was excellent last year, and Michael Carter II, who was also excellent playing on the inside. You have 5 excellent CBs. So again, I thought our room was slept on before Gardner got here. It just became elite. That is an elite CB room right now. And again, we talked about that coverage one. He was predominantly in coverage one at college with no help over the top, no help whatsoever. And what did he do predominantly in that coverage one? Well, man, I can't wait to tell you guys. So Sauce Gardner intercepted 9 passes and didn't allow a single touchdown during his 3 years with the Cincinnati Bearcats. And again, I reiterate, not a single touchdown. Picked the ball off 9 times, but never allowed, not one, not a single touchdown in coverage during his 3 years with the Bearcats. In fact, he's the only FBS player to face 120 plus targets and not allow a single touchdown from 2019 to 2021 over that 3-year period. And he's also the only cornerback to play over 1,000 career coverage snaps and never allow a touchdown ever. I want to let that sink in for a sec. Ever. According to PFF, for as long as they've been grading, going back as long as they've graded, they've said for as long as they've been grading, there has never been a cornerback in the history of college football that has played over 1,000 career coverage snaps and not allowed a single touchdown. Again, Sauce Gardner is the real deal. Again, like I said, in the beginning of the season, he'll probably alternate a little bit with Hall and DJ Reed, but there is no doubt in my mind that he is going to become the legit lockdown, shutdown CB1 that puts receivers on an island. He is an island on his own with, again, playing predominantly cover one, and as we just said, intercepted the ball 9 times, never allowed a single touchdown. Unbelievable numbers. Just unbelievable numbers. So, man, Sauce Gardner is the real deal. So, like I said, kind of wanted to give it just a regular A, an A, not an A+, because, I mentioned before that I felt we didn't really need a CB, but man, you add a guy like Sauce, it's over. Sauce Gardner, again, like we just mentioned with all those numbers, is an unbelievable pick. In fact, Sauce Gardner only allowed a passer rating of 31.8. That's it. With a minimum of 100 targets. With a minimum of 100 targets, he's the only player that allowed a 31.8 passer rating allowed over that 3-year period as well. So, man, we look at these last 3 years, Sauce Gardner has been elite. Sauce Gardner has been the best corner and a lockdown corner that puts wide receivers on an island. And that is exactly what he's going to do at the NFL level. So, Sauce Gardner, A+ grade, and man, he is going to be unbelievable. And you guys heard those numbers I just mentioned. They are ridiculous. Now we transition to Garrett Wilson, and you guys know I wasn't the biggest fan of Garrett Wilson. Now, it's important to say I did not like him, right? I never said I hated the kid, and I never wanted to draft him, but I wasn't a huge fan because I felt like there were weaknesses that he had, and I liked other guys over him. So, talking about Garrett Wilson, it's not a secret, not hiding it. You guys well know that I really liked Chris Olave and Jameson Williams. Those were the two wide receivers that I really liked and I wanted. Ironically, as you guys also know, they went right after we took Garrett Wilson, right? Both teams that got Chris Olave and then Jameson Williams traded up to get the two of them at 11 and 12. So we took Garrett Wilson over them at 10. He's got to be the guy. Now, as you remember, it's not what I expected. There are things that I am hesitant about on him, but there are things also that I'm not hesitant about on him. So one thing with Garrett Wilson, and the reason I give him an A grade, is Garrett Wilson is an unbelievable wide receiver. His catch radius and his catch ability are out of this freaking world. Just out of this freaking world. This man we've seen in college makes unbelievable catches midair, flips around, stops when the CB's on him, uses his physicality to box him out. He's a very physical receiver. You guys remember, that was one thing I did praise him with, that he's excellent in the short yardage, that they used him a lot as a Swiss Army knife, got him the ball quick, and let him use his physicality to get downfield. And that is what Garrett Wilson does best. So again, two things to love about him are his catch ability and his catch radius. He makes ridiculous catches all over the field, just unbelievable catch ability. He makes the tough catches. He makes the highlight reel catches. Like I said, he fights for yards, and he's fantastic after the catch. However, like I mentioned, like I said before, there's no secret that, remember when I was talking about Garrett Wilson, there were a few things I was a little worried about. The two things I'm mainly worried about are his route running and his ability to create separation. He's not the best route runner, but again, he's a very young, very, very raw prospect. He's only been playing for a few seasons. So that can totally develop, and his route running can get better. You guys remember, I thought he had great processing ability, but it's almost like his brain was too fast for his feet. He would slip a lot or make a miscut. That can change. That can definitely develop, especially with good coaching. The other thing was his ability to create separation. You guys remember, it was part of that route running, part of that issue, that when I would count it out, on average, it would take him 4 seconds to 5 seconds to really get open and create separation in college, which again, he makes ridiculous catches. The man, even if he's not open, he turns around and makes an insanity catch, which is awesome. And in college, something that's definitely needed. My apologies. That in college allowed him to excel. It allowed him to excel as an outstanding receiver. Remember, I told you guys my fear at the NFL level, DBs are faster. DBs play better. They play stronger and tighter, and ability not to create separation is an issue. Remember, I said guys like Chris Olave create separation in nanoseconds. Like literally nanoseconds, this dude is open. However, again, totally something that can develop. His ability to create separation will get better as his route running gets better. Will get better as he makes better cuts, better moves, better decisions, and that will all happen from coaching. So, again, you look at the catch ability of this kid, that's something you can't teach. You could teach someone how to run routes. You could teach somebody how to make misalignments and judge a corner. You can teach them all that stuff, but you can't really teach them how to be an unbelievable wide receiver. Having great hands, making unbelievable catches, one-handed catches, catches 10 feet in the freaking air, you don't teach that. That's something that either you have or you don't have. And Garrett Wilson does have that. So again, there are things that I'm hesitant on, but I do think they can develop. His ability to create separation can definitely get better, and it needs to at the NFL level. Remember, like I said, 4 seconds, 5 seconds plus is not going to cut it at the NFL level. Also, route running can definitely get better as well. So I give that an A because remember, I told you I wasn't as hugely high on him, but many people had Garrett Wilson as the #1 receiver on their board. Many, including Daniel Jeremiah, had Garrett Wilson as the #1 receiver on their board and a top 5 prospect. So, man, getting a top 5 prospect with the 10th overall pick, that's awesome. That's awesome no matter how you cut it. That is an absolutely great thing. And again, it's because of what Garrett Wilson brings to the table. His receiving ability is absolutely ridiculous. Again, most of you have seen it. Most of you, it's the reason you love this kid. Again, for me, it was the nitty-gritty of it. Like I said, it was his route running and his ability to create separation that made me nervous, made me hesitant, felt that, again, when DBs are playing at a higher level at the NFL level, that's going to be a deficiency that's going to be a problem, but again, it's something that can develop. Route running can definitely get better. The ability to create separation can definitely get better. But again, his catch ability, his catch radius is just insane. This man is a highlight reel machine. The catches he makes are absolute highlight reel, unbelievable catches. And to show that, let's look what he did at Ohio State in 2021. The man walked away with 70 receptions, over 1,000 yards with 1,058 yards, averaged over 15 yards per catch, had 12 receiving touchdowns, and 5 100-plus yard games. So the talent is without a doubt there. And also, he had a 91.8 PFF grade versus single coverage since 2020 for the last 2 years. That was second among Power 5 wide receivers. So the ability is absolutely there. Garrett Wilson is an outstanding receiver. Again, I mentioned the things that I'm a little hesitant on, but those are things that can develop. Things that he can definitely develop. Again, he can get better at his route running, get better at his cuts, get cleaner at them, would help with his ability to create separation. But again, his catch ability is just insane. He makes these ridiculous 10 feet in the air catches, flipping through the air catches, one-handed. He's a highlight reel. The man is a human highlight reel. And that is a really awesome thing. Yeah, James points out, just shout back to, Sauce before, said Sauce's favorite player was Revis, wanted him on his own island. Man, it's going to be the case. It's going to absolutely be the case for Sauce, especially, again, when you look at the numbers. You look at what Sauce put up. Again, I'm just going to bring it up again because I think it's absolutely ridiculous. So just going back to Sauce for just 1 second, the man intercepted 9 balls but never allowed a single touchdown. In his 3 years at Cincinnati, never allowed a single touchdown, which again is the only FBS player, only one, to face 120 plus targets over those 3 years and not allow a touchdown, as well as he's the only corner to play over 1,000 career coverage snaps and never allow a touchdown. His passing rating allowed is 31.8. Again, Sauce Gardner is unbelievable. He is the absolute real deal. And again, the reason why I felt, even though CB wasn't a huge need, give him an A+. And again, give Garrett an A, because again, even though he wasn't the top wide receiver on my board, he was the top wide receiver on most people's boards. He was the top wide receiver on most people's boards, including Move the Sticks, Mr. Daniel Jeremiah himself, and he was a top 5 prospect. So getting a top 5 prospect with the 10th overall pick is awesome. And again, like I mentioned before, there's things I feel like he needs to work on, but man, can this kid catch a football. When this kid makes plays, he looks like a human highlight reel. The catches he makes are just unbelievable. So the Jets walk away with 2 top 5 players in their first 10 picks. And everyone's freaking out. Everyone's like, they got the best wide receiver on most people's boards. They get arguably the best player in the draft, right? With Sauce Gardner. We look at the numbers he's put up. Unfreaking believable. Now, what does Joe do next? Love it, man. Love it. In fact, as much as I love the Sauce pick, I'll be honest, I actually like this one more. Because you guys remember, a lot of us had Jermaine Johnson as one of the best edge rushers. We had him as a top 10 pick And so did Daniel Jeremiah. He was considered a top 10 pick. So what does Joe Douglas do? Joe Douglas is trying to trade up since pick 15, and he finally gets the 26th overall pick. And with that pick, he selects edge rusher Jermaine Johnson. Now that pick deserves an A+. That is an absolute A+ pick, because you guys know how much I thought Jermaine Johnson was awesome. So we mentioned Joe Douglas trying to trade up for him since 15. Why is that important? Listen to what Jermaine Johnson himself says. He literally said in his interview, to hear they were trying to trade up for me since pick 15 all the way up to 26, it means the world to me. It means I know I'm wanted and I know I'm loved. It makes it that much easier for me to give everything I can to this organization. I love it. I love it, man. And you guys know how I felt about Jermaine Johnson. So, like I said, we paused for a sec. The Jets walked away with the best corner in the draft. We looked at those numbers. They're just unbelievable. What Sauce did is insane. He is a pure, true lockdown CB1 that can cover anybody, just anybody. So the best CB in the draft, we get the top wide receiver, who many had as their best wide receiver. Now we trade up and get one of the best edge rushers. And you guys know I had JJ as the second edge rusher on my board. You guys remember on my, excuse me, on my eval show before the draft, remember I told you I kept going back and forth between JJ and Kevon. I landed with JJ at number 2, man, because he is the most complete edge rusher, in my opinion, in this draft. You guys remember how I talked about it? I talked about Hutchinson as more of a bull power rusher. I talked about how Thibodeau has a nonstop motor and he's very athletic and very quick. Man, Jermaine Johnson's everything. Jermaine Johnson is absolutely everything. This kid is the complete package. I mentioned it before. I've watched him bull offensive tackles all the way back into the quarterback, like literally just bull them into the quarterback. I've also seen him have a decent pass rush move. This kid spins, he swims, he does everything, and he does it well, and he's also good against the run. I mentioned to you guys here as well that I've seen Jermaine Johnson do a double spin to get around a defensive end to hit a running back 5 yards in the backfield. This dude, I felt, was the best run-stopping edge rusher in this entire draft. He was the second edge rusher on my board. He was considered a top 10 prospect. And what does Joe do? Joe gets him at 26. 26 is where he gets this kid. Just unbelievable. We got our edge. We got our edge. And again, to prove it, just look at what he did at Florida State. So remember, we've talked about Jermaine Johnson. Again, he bounced around. He finally gets to Florida State in 2021. So it's his first season there at Florida State. What does Jermaine Johnson do? Well, he gets 70 tackles, 11 and a half sacks, 17 and a half TFLs, tackles for loss, 2 passes defensed, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and a defensive touchdown. Jermaine Johnson is the absolute real deal. This kid, as you guys remember, I mentioned it before, this was the edge rusher I wanted. Hell, I wanted him at 10. Some people wanted him at 4. Some people were saying, well, if we're going to miss out on Jermaine, we got to take him at 4. We got Jermaine Johnson at 26. So again, 2 top 5 prospects with Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner in that top 10. And then what do? We trade up to get Jermaine Johnson. We've been trying since 15. And then we just said it, like Jermaine said, that means a lot to him. That means a lot to him. And like he said, I love it. He ends it with, it makes it easier for me to give everything I can to this organization. And I really feel he will. This kid's got a great, remember I mentioned, he's got a great attitude, great personality, great work ethic, works really, really hard. But look at the numbers he put up. Again, in one season alone, 11 and a half sacks, 17 and a half tackles for loss, 2 PDs, 2 forced fumbles, fumble recovery, defensive touchdown. The dude's the real deal. Jermaine Johnson is 100% the real freaking deal. And this year, we're going to have Carl Lawson back. So remember what we'd said, it may not be the worst thing to get 2 edge rushers. Jets did that. Remember we said it may not be the worst thing to get 2 because as much as we love Carl, he's a question mark, right? As much as we love Carl Lawson, he is a question mark, right? He's torn his ACL twice, and now he's torn his Achilles. I think he's going to come back good. He's been working really hard, trying really hard. I think he's going to come back at 100, but he's got to stay that way. So remember, I mentioned that edge was our biggest issue, and we saw last year without Carl Lawson, the edge rushing was awful. Remember, we literally talked about it, how we were relying on Ronnie Blair and Shaq Lawson, and it was awful. It was absolutely awful. It sucked. So, Matt, bringing him in, now we got Carl Lawson again, hopefully back to 100%, hopefully going to stay healthy this year. Now with Jermaine Johnson, that's some edge rush, man. That is some edge rush. And we mentioned how Jermaine Johnson had 11 and a half sacks at Florida State last year in his first season playing there. We, the Jets, haven't had a double-digit sack, forget edge rusher, in general, period. We haven't had someone put up double-digit sacks since 2015. And I'm not going to bring up who it is because I'm still pretty pissed at him. I feel like he kind of robbed us, and you guys know who I'm talking about. Got his big payday and then phoned it in. But we haven't had anybody put up double-digit sacks since 2015. That was 7 years ago. Can Jermaine Johnson be the first? Can Jermaine Johnson, still got the draft thing as my ringtone. Still got the draft because I'm excited. But, man, can Jermaine Johnson be that first guy, or even Carl Lawson, right? If Jermaine Johnson keeps playing at an excellently high level, it might make it so that, Carl Lawson has more opportunities. Or if Carl Lawson is playing also at an unbelievable level, maybe Jermaine Johnson will get single coverage, right? And he'll be able to get in the backfield. So, man, we haven't had anybody put up double-digit sacks in a long time. Maybe with all the edge rushers getting all the attention, maybe Quinnen does it, right? We see Quinnen Williams constantly double teamed, right? Okay, keeps going off. I'm going to mute that so it stops going off for you guys. But we always see Quinnen Williams getting double teamed, right? That's what prevented him from getting more sacks in the past. Well, that's probably going to be stopping now because you got to make up for Carl Lawson, and you also got to worry about Jermaine Johnson. And again, guys, Jermaine Johnson is the real freaking deal. Remember, I mentioned it before, the absolute complete package. When it came to the most complete edge rusher in this draft, I really felt he was the most complete one. Can we talk about his pass rush ability? He absolutely is a beast and bulls people back, but he's also got really good pass rush moves. And that's going to continue to develop. And he's also very, very good against the run. So you got Jermaine Johnson on one side. You got Carl Lawson on the other. You got Quinnen now possibly going to eat more. Guy we're forgetting about is Mr. John Franklin Myers. So Robert Saleh came out and said it. They asked about how that offensive line is going to look, and he flat out said it. Robert Saleh said, I think we would all agree that John Franklin Myers' best spot is on the inside. Ideally, we can get him inside on third down and even get him in on more passing situations on first and second down on the inside. He ended it by saying that JFM wins at a very high rate when he's inside. So there's your answer. John Franklin Myers, like Robert Saleh said, is a dominant force when he's on the inside of that defensive line. Now you're going to have him next to Quinnen Williams with Jermaine Johnson on one side and Carl Lawson on the other. Woo! Remember, we didn't have a pass rush last year. Now we got a pass rush. Now we got 4 guys that can legitimately get to the quarterback, and we have depth. We have depth at those positions as well, which we could definitely talk about, but that is some excellent talent. So, Matt, like Robert Saleh said, he confirmed that JFM is going to be moving inside, and man, that is awesome. Him and Quinnen could totally eat from the inside, but you can't double team all of them. You can't double team Quinnen and Carl Lawson and Jermaine Johnson. It's just not possible. And again, I can't stress, you guys remember, Jermaine Johnson was one of my favorite edge rushers in this draft. The second edge on my board, remember, I moved him above Kayvon Thibodeaux. Man, this kid is unbelievable. This kid is an unbelievable edge. And to get him at 26, A+. Absolutely. In fact, I'll give it another plus. Let's call it an A++. Getting Jermaine Johnson at 26 is an A++. So that's the first round. And the first round there alone, is insanity, right? Again, we walked away with Sauce Gardner, who we just talked about with numbers alone, is going to be a legit lockdown CB1 that is going to be one of the best corners in the league pretty damn quickly. Then you got Garrett Wilson. Remember, we talked about I had my issues with him, but not when it comes to catching the ball. Man, that dude catches the ball as good as anybody. Now you got Jermaine Johnson. Unbelievable first round. What does Joe do in round two? Joe moves up 2 picks, trades with the Giants of all teams. I mean, that was kind of crazy. Like, I can't remember the last time we traded with the Giants. Like, Joe trades with the Giants, a local team, gets the 36, gets Breece Hall. He gets the best running back in the draft. So now by the 36th pick, we've walked away with the best corner in the draft, one of the best wide receivers. Many had him as the best. One of the best edge rushers, the second best one in my opinion, and now the best running back in the draft. Just unbelievable, guys. Again, Joe Douglas killed this draft. And what grade do I give Breece Hall? I give Breece Hall an A+, an absolutely A+, because again, he was the best running back in this entire draft. So like we said, we traded up to get him. This dude is an excellent running back, but he's also an excellent receiver. He's an excellent receiver as well. So Breece Hall last year had 1,472 rushing yards, averaged 5.8. That's crazy. He averaged pretty much more than half a first down every time he carried the ball, averaged 5.8 and had 20 rushing touchdowns. Unbelievable, man. Him and Michael Carter are going to be an outstanding duo. Another excellent addition by Joe Douglas. Just another excellent addition. Man, again, him and Joe Douglas are him and Joe Douglas. That's funny. Breece Hall and Michael Carter are going to be an unbelievable running back duo. An excellent running back combination. Because again, like we mentioned, just like Carter, Breece Hall is much bigger. Breece Hall is a much bigger, more physical back, but he's also very fast. He's an excellent rusher, but he's also a good receiving back. Him and Michael Carter are also 2 underappreciated receiving options from the backfield. So when we look at Breece Hall, this is one of my most exciting facts about him. This is what I looked up for you guys. This is one of my most exciting stats. So Breece Hall had the most broken tackles of anybody in the FBS the last 3 years with 194. Think about that. Breece Hall had the most broken tackles in the last 3 years of anybody in the entire league with 194 broken tackles. Now, you guys remember, and if you don't, I put it out on Twitter. I put out a little, it was back like in the beginning of April. I showed how Michael Carter's numbers were unbelievable after contact. In fact, I'll show you. Michael Carter last year, in his rookie year, was tied for 9th in the entire NFL in yards per attempt after contact. He had 13 broken tackles, which is tied for 20th. And out of his yards, 345 of them came after contact, which also ranked 25th in the NFL. So, man, Breece Hall and Michael Carter together, both of these guys are excellent after the first hit. That is where these two guys absolutely thrive. Once they make first contact, man, that's when Michael Carter makes his money. That's when Breece Hall makes his money. So I love it, man. Joe Douglas knew exactly what he was doing. He took the best running back in the draft, but he also took a guy like the other guy he has that is outstanding after contact. After you make that first contact, Michael Carter was fantastic last year. And again, Breece Hall, Breece Hall had the most broken tackles of anybody in all of college football over the last 3 years. So again, watch these two after first contact. They are going to be an absolutely special duo. And what does Breece Hall do? One of the first things he does is he gives a message to Jet fans. What's Breece Hall's message to Jet fans? Breece Hall says, I'm a 3-down back who can block, catch, and run. I'm a natural playmaker. I'm someone who could hit the home run. I'm someone who can do it all. Man, what else do you want? What else do you want there? Like, that is a great Great freaking answer. So, man, running back Breece Hall, A-plus grade. The Jets walked away again with the best corner in this draft, one of the best wide receivers, arguably the best one of the best edge rushers, and now the best running back at 36. Remember, Joe Douglas talked about this. He was even trying to trade back up into the first round. He thought there was a chance that Breece Hall might go at the end of the first. He was trying to trade back in. Joe Douglas was trying to kill us, basically. He was trying to give us heart attacks by having 4 first-round picks. That's what Joe Douglas was trying to do. Joe Douglas was effectively trying to flatline the entire Jets fan base. Because I'll be honest, if he traded back up into the first, I think my heart would have stopped. I think you guys would have heard that they had to give me CPR and bring me back just so I could do this with you guys. I mean, unbelievable. See, he was trying to trade back into the first to get him. Still got him at 36, traded up 2 spots from 38 to 36 to get him, but got the best running back in this draft. And again, you look at those numbers, he is the best running back in college football and one of the best after the contact. Again, he had the most broken tackles of anybody over the last 3 years, and a big ass number too. Over those last 3 years, he has 194 broken tackles. 194. That's a huge number. So, man, we mentioned Michael Carter, what he does after contact, after that first hit. Man, this is going to be an unbelievable duo. The two of them are going to complement each other beautifully. Again, Breece Hall is a much bigger running back, so he can take, again, you guys know how I feel. Excuse me. So many people talk about how Michael Carter isn't big enough to be a guy, be one of the main guys. Man, Michael Carter's tough as hell for his size. Michael Carter, pound for pound, is tough as shit. So people saying, oh, Michael Carter's too small. He's not, but Breece Hall is bigger. Breece Hall is bigger, stronger, tougher, really just as fast, and also a good receiving option. So him and Michael Carter are going to be an unbelievable 1-2 punch. Both of them are excellent receiving options in the backfield. Absolute A-plus grade. A-plus grade for Breece Hall. So the next pick the Jets take is the 101st overall pick. And with the 101st overall pick, they get a local boy. They get a boy from Lindenhurst, New York, a kid that played on Long Island. And of course, maybe you guys didn't see this. Imagine you did. It was all over Twitter. He's a Jet fan. He was a big Jet fan growing up. We saw multiple images of Jeremy Ruckert in Jets jerseys, in Jets clothing, with Jets those fake kids' tattoos on his faces. Man, Jeremy Ruckert is psyched to be with the Jets, and I love the pick. You guys remember Jeremy Ruckert was a sleeper tight end of mine. He's a tight end out of Ohio State, which again, out of Ohio State, he's reunited with Garrett Wilson, which is just awesome. I mean, reunited and it feels so good. I mean, it's amazing, guys. Bringing in those two, instant chemistry, instant camaraderie. But Jeremy Ruckert is a slept-on tight end. He's a kid that was primarily a blocker, right? At Ohio State, he was primarily a blocker. And because of that, he's an excellent blocker. He comes in already as an excellent blocker. And we saw that when he was used as a receiving option, he did some damn impressive stuff, like really, really damn impressive stuff. I think it was in the bowl game. I can't remember where he made that ridiculous one-handed catch in the end zone. If you guys haven't seen it, I put it up on Twitter as well. Made some ridiculous catches. Whenever he had the ball thrown his way, he looked impressive. He looked very, very good. He just didn't have the ball thrown his way too much. Again, he was primarily a blocker. So you're bringing in a guy that is a local guy from Long Island, likes the Jets, is a fan, so he loves that he's on a team that he grew up watching. Again, Long Island guy from Lindenhurst, New York, already an excellent blocker. Comes in already being an excellent blocker and shows a lot of potential as a receiver. He's shown over these last 2 years that when the ball is thrown his way, he looks really damn impressive. So, man, another A grade. This is another A draft pick by Mr. Joe Douglas. So with the 111th pick, the Jets select offensive tackle Max Mitchell. And that's another A grade for me. A guy that I thought was also a little slept on as well. I didn't know if the Jets were going to go offensive lineman late. If they did, I was thinking they were going to go more with an interior guy. So I didn't talk about Mitchell too much. But man, Max Mitchell, his stats are impressive. And you're going to see in a second why I give this kid an A grade. So like we said, the Jets select him at 111 from day one. The day Max Mitchell comes in, he's already a solid swing option. He's already a quality swing option, and he can play left tackle and right tackle, as well as he said he played guard in college as well. In his interview, Max Mitchell said he played left guard as well as played both tackle spots, so he's versatile. He's a guy that can play all along that offensive line, which is good. God forbid, there is an issue with Mekhi Becton, which I do think Mekhi is going to come back this year, and I think he's going to be awesome. I do. I think Mekhi Becton's going to come back, and he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. He's going to have something to prove, and he's going to be unfreaking believable. I do think that. But let's say it doesn't happen. Let's say there's an issue. Well, Max Mitchell is great insurance. And again, he's already a swing tackle from day one. So if you want to put in a tackle to be an extra blocker instead of a tight end, you got Max Mitchell. Now, let's look at what Max Mitchell's done. So he said he can be a quality swing option. We said he can line up all along that offensive line. So he provides insurance in case, But he can also develop into a starter, right? We've talked about this. Offensive line is one of those few positions that other than like the first 10 offensive linemen that went in this draft, everybody else really isn't ready to be a throw-in day one. Offensive line is one of those positions, as we've talked about, that takes time to develop. It takes time to develop that position, to become a better blocker, to feel more confident blocking NFL quality edge rushers, NFL quality interior defensive linemen. When it comes to defensive linemen at the college level to the NFL level, there is an unbelievable jump. Unbelievable jump. So Max Mitchell is a guy that I definitely believe could develop into a starter and maybe even develop into a quality starter, because let's look at his numbers for a second. So let's look at what Max Mitchell did in 2021. Well, do you know what Max Mitchell's overall PFF grade? In 2021, Max Mitchell's overall PFF grade was 94.8. I repeat, an offensive lineman that we got in the 4th round at 111th overall had a PFF overall grade of 94.8 last year. In fact, that was first among all FBS tackles. He had a run blocking grade of 95. That was the highest graded run block, again, of any FBS tackle, and he was named the Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Year. Again, massively slept on offensive lineman. Like I said, and that's why I give him an A grade. In fact, hell, I kind of wanted to give Max Mitchell an A+ grade. And I don't think it's crazy to give him an A+ grade considering you got him at 111. Excuse me. Because again, like we said, from day one immediately, he's a quality swing option. He's a quality swing tackle that can play both sides, right? He can play all over that offensive line, really left tackle, left guard. Hasn't played right guard, but shit, I bet he could do it. And he's also played right tackle. This dude is a piece all over the offensive line. And again, in 2021, he had a 94.8 overall PFF grade, which was first among all FBS tackles, and his run blocking grade was a 95. That was the highest run blocking grade, again, of any FBS tackle, and we got this dude at 111. So, again, God forbid Mekhi has a problem or somebody else has a problem, somebody gets banged up, well, then it's Max Mitchell time. It's Max Mitchell's time to get an opportunity to see what this kid can do. Excuse me. So I absolutely love the pick. Absolutely love the Max Mitchell pick. So with the Jets' last pick, and it's crazy if you think about it, their last pick was 117. So many teams obviously picking into the 6th round, the 7th round, 190-something, 200-something. Our last pick was 117, and that's because, again, it can't be understated how amazing Joe Douglas is. We have to remember, by trading up and using his picks, he walked away with 3 guys in the 1st round Arguably 4, because again, Breece Hall was the best running back in this draft, and Joe even felt, hell, he could go at the end of the first. Joe was convinced he could go at the end of the first, and we need to trade up to get him, and tried to trade up to get him. Obviously traded up to 36 with the Giants, but tried to trade back into the first round. And I'm telling you guys, I think you're with me, like I mentioned, after what Joe did, if we found out that the Jets have a 4th pick in the first round, I think a lot of our hearts would have stopped. I think a lot of us would have just flatlined from excitement. That would have been it. And there would have been on the news, 1,000 Jet fans died overnight from what Joe Douglas did. Like, I would have been one of them, man. So we walk away with 2 top 5 players, right, in Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. Jermaine Johnson was a top 10 player. Breece Hall was the best running back in this draft, arguably a late first-round talent, like Joe said. We get Jeremy Ruckert, a local boy that is an excellent, excellent blocker and is developing as a receiving option. We walk away with Max Mitchell, who we just talked about was one of the best offensive linemen in the freaking league. As an 111th pick, he had a 94.8 overall grade and a 95 run blocking grade. So what does Joe do with his last pick? With the 117th overall pick, we talked about it. We were like, well, what if Carl Lawson can't play, right? What? God forbid, right? Worst case scenario. I think the kid's going to be good. I'm praying, right? He's going to come back. He's going to be 100% and nothing is going to go wrong. But again, we said he's had 2 ACL tears in the past, and now he just tore his Achilles. Whether we like it or not, he's a question mark. I wanted us to get 2 edges. Joe gets an edge. And he doesn't just get any edge. He gets an edge that slid in the draft due to off-field concerns, but many argued that Michael Clemens could have been a round 2 pick. Many people said that Michael Clemens's talent level and production could have been a round 2 pick. So, man, when you look at this all together, Joe Douglas just killed this draft. Absolutely killed it. So let's talk about Michael Clemens for a second, who I also give a grade A to. So Michael Clemens, like I just mentioned, was a sleeper edge of mine. Him and guys like Jeffrey Gunter were 2 guys that I really, really like later in the draft. Now, he's a big, physical, strong rusher. That's what's nice about Michael Clemens. In fact, Michael Clemens is really, in a way, like a Carl Lawson. Remember, I mentioned before that Jermaine Johnson is a do-it-all. This kid is a beast. He's also got great moves. He's fast. He's good against the run. Michael Clemens is a big, physical beast rusher, just like Carl Lawson is. And what did he do in 2021? Well, at Texas A&M, at Aggies football, he had 11 TFLs, 7 sacks, and 2 PDs. And Michael Clemens has had 11 sacks over the last 2 seasons. Now, you look at that and you're like, wait a minute. You watch him play and you're like, how is this guy not a higher pick? How could Michael Clemens not be a higher pick? Now, the reason he's not a higher pick is because of character concerns. There were off the field issues with Michael Clemens. There had been arrests in the past. I don't have him directly in front of me. I know he had possession of drugs. He had possession of a firearm. It was not good. It was not good at all. But Joe Douglas, as we know, is a due diligence guy. Joe Douglas does his due diligence. He always has. He proved it last draft. He proved it this draft. So they asked Joe Douglas about this in his interview. And this is exactly what Joe Douglas said. He said, we were aware of Michael Clemens' off-field issues going into this process. Part of our process is getting together with the players and having security meetings regarding every player. We felt comfortable adding him to our roster and felt comfortable about him not making similar mistakes moving forward. According to Joe, he felt that Michael Clemens has learned his lesson, that Michael Clemens, obviously, like we just said, could have gone maybe as high as late 40s, maybe in the 50s, 60s. He goes 117, and he goes 117 because of his bad decisions, because of the mistakes that he's made. But again, according to Joe Douglas, he's learned from them. According to Joe Douglas and sitting with this kid, he's learned from his mistakes. He doesn't plan on making them again, and he understands what he did wrong, and he will not make the similar mistakes moving forward. That being the case, the kid's a freaking steal at 117. Again, this is a kid that could have gone twice as high as he did if it weren't for off-the-field issues and character concerns. So we got our second edge rusher in Michael Clemens. And again, if he keeps his nose clean, if he keeps doing the right things, He could develop into a quality starter. Again, look at what we just said. He has 11 sacks over the last 2 years, 7 sacks last year alone, 11 TFLs, 2 PDs, and that's in the SEC. That ain't in a chump league. He did that at Texas A&M. He did that against SEC offensive linemen. So, Michael Clemens, another outstanding pick. Now, if you guys noticed, there was a trend here. First pick, A+. Second pick, A. Third pick, A+. Next pick, A+. Then an A. Then an A again. I did not give the Jets anything lower than an A because, man, Joe Douglas doesn't deserve it. Every single one of these picks, when you look at who he took, where he took them, and the value of how he took them at that pick, every single pick is either an A or an A+. Joe Douglas absolutely killed this draft. I mentioned at the beginning of the show, and I think about it, I think this is true. I think that, again, it's on paper. I do stress it's on paper. But on paper, I think Joe Douglas had 2 of the greatest consecutive back-to-back NFL drafts of any NFL GM in the history of this sport. And what he did this last draft, again, is insanity. We look at these players. Again, if you missed it, please go back. We talked about the stats of these players, the numbers they put up, the things that they've done. These guys are unbelievable. This is an absolutely A+ draft. Again, every single guy I either gave an A or an A+ to. And again, look at what we walked away with. We walked away with an elite, lockdown, shutdown corner, a guy that never allowed a touchdown in college, one of the best corners to arguably literally ever play in college. Then one of the best receivers in college football, who you guys remember, I have my knocks on him. But like I mentioned, when it comes to catchability, Garrett Wilson is a freak. This man makes freak highlight reel catches like they're nothing. His catchability and his catch radius is literally insanity. I've seen him jump and make catches where his hips are at the level of the DB's head. Like, that's not normal. That's not supposed to happen. We talked about getting one of the best edge rushers in this draft, the best running back in this draft, an excellent tight end that can develop into a quality receiving option, let alone a local hometown guy, and then Max Mitchell. We look here again at Max Mitchell for a second. Man, I don't get how he fell as far. Again, Max Mitchell had a 94.8 overall PFF grade and a 95 run blocking grade. That was first and the highest run blocking grade of any FBS tackle, like any, period. So, man, Joe Douglas killed this freaking draft. So Salmon points out, I appreciate you guys. Please bring your comments, bring your comments, bring your stuff. Love to bring it up. He says, if everyone stays healthy, Jets might have the best D-line. Yeah, man, if everyone stays healthy, because like we mentioned it before, why is Quinnen Williams only getting 6, 7, 8 sacks a season? It's because of double teams. It's because of double teams that's happening. You can't double team him and Carl Lawson and JFM and Jermaine Johnson. If you are, then there's no one else on the field. If you are, there's no one else playing. That's it. You got everyone playing on that line. That's it. You got nothing but guys on the offensive line, and that's it. So, man, this has a lot of potential. Again, maybe Quinnen, right? Maybe all of this talent opens it up for Quinnen to have his first double-digit sack season. Maybe Carl Lawson, hopefully stays healthy and has a double-digit sack season. And man, people are sleeping on Jermaine Johnson. I can't stress enough that people are sleeping on this kid. You guys remember, again, I had him as the second edge on my board, most complete edge rusher. Again, I mentioned it, on my show before the draft. I said he's the best run-stopping edge rusher in this entire draft. Man. So, appreciate all you guys. Again, appreciate all your comments. Please bring your comments. Please bring your questions. Love it. Going to bring them all up. Can't wait to talk about it. So, shout out to Iowan Jets fan. Iowan Jets fan says the trade up for JJ gave me boogers. Man, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. I was freaking out. I remember when we took our top 2 guys, I was like, I love these picks. I love these picks. Again, Garrett Wilson wasn't the direction I was going to go in, but he is an outstanding wide receiver. I love these picks, but I really wanted JJ. I really wanted an edge rusher. When we traded up for him, man, that was it. Like I said, I think if Joe had traded back into the first a fourth time, I think we all would have died. I think a good amount of us would have legitimately had heart attacks from excitement, and that would have been the end of it. And I'm telling you, I was hyped. I was screaming. I was so happy. I was having a great time, man. It was absolutely awesome. So Joe Douglas, like James says, in JD I trust, absolutely killed it. Joe Douglas had a legendary draft. And we look at what he did last year with Zach, with AVT, with all the DBs he got, with Elijah Moore. These two drafts, I think on paper, are the two best consecutive back-to-back drafts by any GM in freaking NFL history, man. Unbelievable. Same thing, Iowa sports fans, as the Brees was 18th on their big board. Again, the value for all these picks, let's go through them for a sec, right? The value is insanity. Sauce Gardner, many say top 5. Shit, he was a top 3, top 2 prospect, honestly. We talked about the numbers. Unbelievable prospect. Getting him at 4, unbelievable value. Garrett Wilson, I told you guys, remember, I didn't have him as high on my board, but everyone else had him as the best wide receiver. Many had him as a top 5 prospect. We get him at 10. Jermaine Johnson, another top 10 prospect. You get him at 26. You just mentioned Breece Hall being in 18. Again, the best running back in this draft. You get him at 36. Jeremy Rucker at 101 is about normal, give or take, but I think the value is outstanding because, again, he's just unleashing his potential. He's barely been used as a receiving option, and when he does, he freaking kills it. He absolutely kills it, making ridiculous catches. But because he's been primarily used as a blocker, man, his blocking ability is slept on. Jeremy Ruckert's blocking ability is massively slept on. We talk again about the numbers with Mac Mitchell. He was as good as any offensive tackle in the freaking college football last year. Arguably, he was the best, like we just said, the best offensive tackle in college football. What happens? The Jets get him at 111. And then Michael Clemens, a guy, like we said before, that if it weren't for character issues, if it weren't for off-the-field stuff, this dude would have went late 40s, 50s, maybe 60s, worst case. Unbelievable value, guys. Like you say, Iowa Jets fan, just unbelievable value. Every single one of these picks, again, either A+ or A. A+ or A. Joe Douglas killed it, freaking killed it. And Steven points it out. Shout out to Steven. I thought the same thing. I was like, I'm looking at Max's numbers. I'm like, the dude's got to be a higher prospect than 4th round. The guy's got to be higher than 111. Because again, you look at the numbers, he had the highest PFF grade of any FBS tackles, any of them, and the highest run blocking grade as well. Makes sense. So Mitchell was a 2nd, 3rd round grade. Again, Joe just killed it. Joe just absolutely killed it. Killed this freaking draft. Yeah, Steve, we were talking about those numbers with Sauce before, man. I brought them up. If you guys missed it, go back, check out the beginning of the episode where I was talking about Sauce Gardner. Man, I brought up all those numbers and maybe a couple that you hadn't heard before. They're ridiculous. Sauce's numbers, again, you guys remember, I said I didn't really want to go CB high in the draft. But if we are, it's got to be Sauce. It's got to be Sauce, and I'm 1,000% okay with it because of how unbelievably talented he was. Derek Stingley may have went right before him, but he ain't the better corner. Sauce Gardner was unbelievable at the collegiate level. He is going to come in and, again, be a lockdown corner. He's going to be a lockdown, shutdown corner that can cover and run with everybody. But I appreciate all you guys. I see your comments. I appreciate all you guys. Appreciate, all your comments. If there's anything else you want to bring up. So Jeffrey asks, does Rucker line up at fullback from time to time? He could, man. And again, that's not a bad idea. That's actually I like that, man. I really like that, Jeff. That's actually a really good idea because, again, he was primarily a blocker. He was mainly used as a blocker at Ohio State, and he was a damn good blocker. Watch that running game. That running game was damn successful on the edge a lot of times because of Jeremy Rucker. So, again, a guy that's already an excellent blocker, but an underappreciated receiver, a guy that is slept on. And because, like we saw, when he got limited receiving opportunities, he looked unbelievable. But we, again, can't sleep on the fact, local kid, guys, Joe Douglas brings home a Long Island. You guys know I live in Long Island. I'm a Long Island native myself. I love it. I love that Joe Douglas brings in a Long Island native, a guy that used to be and is, sorry, not used to be, is a huge Jet fan and was a Jet fan when he was a kid. I love it, man. I absolutely love it. So Salmon brings up any free safety we can get, or are we good? I think we're looking pretty good at safety because people are sleeping on LaMarcus Joyner. Remember, I talked about that in one of my episodes a little while back. Remember, LaMarcus Joyner, when we first signed him last year before he got hurt and missed the whole season, we were loving it. We were super high on him because remember, when he exclusively played safety, when he only played safety, he has a career 90.1 PFF grade at the NFL level, a career 90.1 when exclusively playing safety. And you got Jordan Whitehead. Obviously, Jordan Whitehead is going to be a freaking bullet back there, flying all over the field and just murdering people. And he's also good in coverage. You got guys like Will Parks, who started to look pretty good like last year. Guys like Elijah Riley, who started to look okay last year. Guys like Jason Pinnock, who was a rookie playing safety and looked really good toward the end of the year. So, man, there's some quality there. There's some quality between all those, young guys, Pinnock, Parks, and Elijah Riley. And then you got LaMarcus Joyner, who we just talked about, and Jordan Whitehead, who the two of them are going to make an outstanding duo, just the two of them. So, man, I think we're doing good at safety. But, man, I'm loving this. I'm just absolutely loving this. Again, Joe Douglas killed this draft. Absolutely killed it. Unbelievable draft picks, unbelievable talent, unbelievable value. Again, every single pick, in my opinion, is either an A+ or an A. Just unbelievable draft. So again, you guys missed it. Please go back. I went through every single pick, talked about what I like about them, gave stats on them, figures on them, and it really is unbelievable. It really is unbelievable what Joe did again, talking about all those picks. Every single pick was great value at the pick they were taking. There's not a single guy, maybe Jeremy Ruckert's the only guy you could say should go at about where he went. Everybody else was a steal. Everybody else was a steal, and we got an amazing, amazing picks. So, man, Joe Douglas absolutely killed this draft. We are in an absolute great position to succeed right now. I mean, we mentioned that wide receiver room, absolutely stacked right now. The running back backfield is looking great with Breece Hall and Michael Carter, giving Zach Wilson weapons, right? Giving Zach Wilson weapons to succeed and a quality offensive line. And what do? You draft a guy like Max Mitchell, who, like we said before, shout out to forgot who, I think it was Steven, I believe. Yeah, Steven brought up that Mitchell actually had a second, third round grade on him. Man, the dude was unbelievable. The dude was unbelievable at the collegiate level at first. Immediately already is a great swing option, but can definitely develop into a quality starter. So, man, Joe Douglas absolutely killed this draft. Absolutely killed this draft. Again, A+ and A's across the board. I'm pumped. It was an unbelievable draft. I can't wait to talk more about it with you guys throughout the week and next week as well. So as you guys know, the podcast is every Monday at 7 p.m. Please tune in. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Would really appreciate it. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Man, I'm still on cloud 9 from this draft. Just remember, Joe Douglas killed it. Joe Douglas had an unbelievable draft. Between last year and this year, he has put us in contention. He has put us where we need to be with quality players all over the field, quality talent, as well as depth. We are now ready to compete. Our team is ready to compete, and Zach Wilson has been put in the position to succeed. So again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being part of the podcast. I look forward to seeing you guys next Monday. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Joe Douglas is a freaking god. Joe Douglas absolutely killed this last draft. Again, last draft and this draft together, arguably the two best consecutive drafts of any GM ever. Man, we're ready. We're ready to go. We're ready to compete. We're ready to head into this season, and we're coming for you, NFL. Be ready. Joe Douglas has made it so that we're coming for you. So again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great, great rest of your week, and let's go Jets.